back on the floor not even a week later to talk about my 2025 favorites. If you're just coming across my video now, I have done quarterly favorites this year, which are a little bit more in depth to what I really liked in that quarter, but I thought it'd be fun to recap what I really liked throughout the entire year, if there were things that I liked in a specific quarter that stayed persistent basically throughout the entire year. So yeah, I think it's really crazy that we're at the end of 2025. Now that we're at the end of it, I feel like it flew by really quickly. I also like reflect on the things that I did this year and I'm like, that was this year. I'm really proud of how much I've accomplished this year, all the new things that I got to try, whether that's in social media, in school, in life, and I'm really excited for what 2026 has to offer to my ears. Like, I hate the sound of 2026, like that just means I'm turning 25 next year. But aside from that, I have a lot of clothing favorites, a lot of beauty favorites, random favorites. I'm excited to share them with you. Starting off with clothing favorites, I think at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, I bought a pair of dark wash denim jeans from Studio Nixon. I was obsessed with them. I wore them so much. They're in the wash right now. It just kind of opened this gateway of loving dark wash denim. This pair is from Snow Peak, which I also really loved. They're just a really like nice feeling pair of denim. I think they're a bit more casual looking than black jeans, but they're a little bit nicer than a light wash pair of jeans. They just make your outfits look really cool. I don't know the science behind it. Obviously, I really loved skirts, as I always do every single year. This year, the styles that really stuck out to me were these trumpeted, like A-line skirts almost. They usually have a lot of like stitching down at the face of the skirt and usually have like a triangular kind of opening pleating. This one is in the stitching, and yeah, I think that these really complement my body type, pair really well with like socks and shoes as well as boots. A lot of the ones that I own are like a midi length. I think they're really good for almost every season. Another skirt that I wore throughout the year was these Snow Peak. I just whacked myself in the face. Snow Peak to Kiwi skirts. I have this color and then I also have a black. If you look really closely, I don't know if it'll pick up on camera, but there's kind of like a rip stop. Feels very durable. I also wore the Hakama pants from Muji a lot. I think I bought these beginning of last year and I've just worn them a lot since then. They're my go-to pants. I think that they are a little bit of a step away from the regular straight dress pant. They are cropped. They're kind of like a culotte, but because of the Hakama style, there's a lot of pleating going on. This year I also bought a tan color. I can wear them year-round. These are my favorite types of dressier pants to wear in the winter too, just because of how flowy the leg is. I can fit basically anything underneath this. I probably could wear like another pair of full pants underneath this, which I feel like could look pretty cool, but usually I just wear a pair of fleece line tights or even leggings. There's like no added bulk underneath. If you follow me on any other social media, you would know that I really love Chinese inspired clothing. I have some like shopping guides for how to find these pieces because a lot of them are thrifted. Yeah, this is just an obsession of mine for life, but I really was in my bag this year. This is a piece that I picked up in the summer when I went to Hong Kong from Stanley Market. Just a really good example of the types of tops that I've been wearing. This is like a Cheongsam inspired top and it's a linen, so it was really good for the summer. Another piece that I really liked, I picked up last year from Copenhagen or Sweden, and it's just by this brand called by Malene Berger. Knots at the front. Always been a really big fan of incorporating Chinese fashion into my everyday clothing and outfit. That's something that I think I will probably continue next year and for the rest of my life. As you may have noticed, both of those tops were cute, pretty little white tops. I think that is just something that I've been obsessed with this year in general. I received these two sort of midsummer from Maison Moom. Really nice flowy tank top with a bunch of like intricate gathering at the front. And then I also had this one that was really heavy and such an interesting like ruching detail. Amount of detail in these tops is astounding, and I always get compliments on this one. Like, I love wearing them to events. It makes you look so put together, especially with the Hakama pants. That's like my go-to outfit. Yeah, I formed quite a collection with these. I think that they are just really cute to wear with anything. You can dress them up for work, you can wear them for an event, you can wear them like just casually with jeans. This one is from Cezanne. It ties in the back, which I think is such a nice detail. Cezanne knits. I really like them. I think they really feel like a good quality knit. They keep me very warm, and I think the styles are just very classic. I have this one from their men's section, pink polo. I think it's really cute. Cardigan that I also have in a gray that is just like a really nice shape. I love the buttons and it's just really soft. For accessories, I really loved a pair of glasses. I think I've mentioned this before, but I do wear contacts. I actually have like pretty bad eyesight, so when I wear glasses or my prescription, it kind of gives me a headache. And also because of my low nose bridge, I find that I'm straining my eyes all the time just to see. So what works for me is to wear contacts and put my fun little fashion glasses over top. And it's cute, it's fun. If you don't get prescription, it can be cheaper. These ones are the Bonnie Clyde Nisa glasses, which I wore a ton this year. I really love them. I think the tiny little frames are very cutesy, and I also loved this detail. Paired with the more angular bits of the frame, I feel like this flattered my face a lot more than the Miu Miu or the baby glasses from Bonnie Clyde that were really viral this year. A few years ago, I was really into like wearing literally a ring on every single finger, necklaces, and then like a bunch of earrings. And then I grew out of that phase and I just wanted to wear like literally just these 3 rings. But this year I think I kind of reintroduced myself into the world of chunkier jewelry, and so I really gravitated towards like resin bangles, acrylic bangles. I thought those were really nice, especially over sweaters and long sleeves. I think that's a really nice way to accessorize in the winter and the fall. And then I also really loved these huge rings, especially these ones from Pilgrim. I have one in a gold and then also the silver, and I think that they're just really nice. They don't add too much to my stack, but they add just enough. I had 3 bags that I really rotated between throughout each quarter. The first one was the Uniqlo crossbody bag, which I think is currently packed away, but I wore it a lot in Hong Kong and it just fit everything. I loved that it was a crossbody, bigger than their typical crescent bag, and so I was able to fit like my notebook, even my iPad when I needed it, pencil case, my cameras, just everything. And it also had a lot of pockets, so I could fit like a water bottle and everything else in different compartments. Paper Bunny vessel bag. I mentioned this just in my last quarterly favorites, but it's this really nice slouchy rectangular bag. It can be worn on your shoulder or crossbody, and yeah, I think it's like a really nice casual bag. It fits just the right amount. It can't fit all of my school stuff, but it could fit a book and my cameras and all that. So and then the final bag that I carried around a lot was the Demelier London New Yorker bag. I quickly turned it into my school bag because it just carried everything. It carried my laptop, which is 16 inches, a lot more chic than what I was carrying before. I was carrying like a boat tote. During my last thesis term, I was doing a lot of interviews. I wanted to look really put together while still being able to carry all the things that I needed for the interviews, and so this was just a really nice alternative. And I think that it's also going to become a really good work bag for me. For shoes, I have a ton of black shoes, and they're all kind of Mary Jane vibes except for this one. So I really loved tabbies, obviously. I bought my first 2 pairs of tabbies and my first pair of Maison Margiela tabbies at the end-ish of last year when it was starting to get cold and wet, so I couldn't really wear them for too long after that. So this year I really got my money's worth. These are the ballet pumps. They're the older style of the Maison Margiela pumps. I think the current style has like a little knot here. These are really cute. I love wearing them literally anytime. I probably wouldn't wear them with a sweatsuit because that would be taking it too far, but when I wear a sweatsuit, I wear my other ones. These are from Tabby Footwear. I bought these in Copenhagen last summer. They are just super comfortable. They're mesh. They really hug your feet in the right places. They're one of my most comfortable shoes that I own. Another pair of shoes that I wore a lot were also Mary Jane's. These are from Rolly Nation. I wore these a lot in Hong Kong. They were super comfortable. They lasted me all day walking. I think the heel is a little bit thicker than your typical Mary Jane. It feels a little bit more reinforced. I didn't feel like I was like wearing into them. And then they also have like little heel pads at the back. They're very classic, despite the fact that I wore them like in 30+ degree heat walking for like 8 hours a day in Hong Kong. They're not really showing any kinds of wear except for like some loosening at the toe, but I feel like they've kept in pretty good shape other than that. Final Mary Jane that I have are these Asics. These are the gel Philamies. They're really interesting. They're very chunky. Don't really gravitate towards chunky shoes anymore, but I feel like these are really interesting and fun. I feel like they might have had a similar style with Shu Shu Tong or Cecily Bonson that I really liked, and that's why I gravitated towards these. I think they're really great. They have like a little latch kind of to tighten. Let's get into the beauty favorite. I feel like I tried a lot of new things this year. First thing being like a new brow routine straight away from my usual routine. I don't know if it's even noticeable to you guys, but I stopped using like the Anastasia brow powder and I started using a gel and just a eyebrow pencil. So my first favorite is the Anastasia Brow Freeze Gel. This is really good. It stays all day. It really sticks my brows up there. glued onto my face for the entire day. I also got more into foundation and complexion sticks. I feel like I've spoken about this a couple times. I used to be a concealer only girl, and then I was like using way too much concealer, and I was like, why do I need to buy concealer every month? It's like a really nice way to get an even base before I even go in with my concealer. And I go in with much less concealer now, obviously, sometimes no concealer at all. Throughout most of the year I was using the Milani Conceal and Perfect, which just looked like this. I really liked it. I like the formula. It's very serum-y feeling, and the shade is like much too dark for me now. So I recently have been trying the Basma Beauty foundation stick instead. It's a little bit of a drier formula than Milani. The shade match is really good, and the formula is still really good as well. So yeah, I think this one will be my favorite moving forward, especially because it's a Canadian brand. Some other base products that I really liked included the Huda Beauty Easy Blur Primer. This is like a really tiny version, but fills in my pores, makes me look like completely spotless. It just makes my makeup stay the entire day. The Huda Beauty Easy Bake. This is in the shade Pound Cake. It's their like little tiny version. I'm not a really big loose powder girl, but I find that for baking, this is really, really good. I think I might be catching on to the loose powder wave. My final base product that I really liked was the Rhode Pocket Blush. This is in the shade Sleepy Girl. I loved the formula of this. This is like really creamy, really soft, and really buildable. I loved the color. I love wearing this with the Dior Rosy Glow. I'll insert it here. I actually have two brushes in my favorites, and these are also for my base. I really loved the Jones Road Everything brush for my foundation. This is just a really dense brush. I also started using the MAC concealer brush. I actually don't know if this is a concealer brush, but I use it for concealer. This is the 270S. Sort of an angle to it, but it's just like a mini version of this one, and I find that it's really good for blending in my concealer, especially underneath my eyes. I don't know if it's because of the angle. For eyes, I was really into brown all over. I got a lash perm twice this year, and I wasn't really using a ton of mascara. I wanted it to look really natural, and so I was using the Hair Make Curl Keep mascara. This is the base, and it's waterproof, and it's in the brown color. Just added a little bit more definition to my eyes and also helped keep the curl when I had a lash perm. Another brown eye product that I really liked was the Prada Durable Gliding Eye Pencil in the shade Wood. Super tiny now. I feel like maybe you guys remember from my first order when it was a full size, but I use this every day. I love the formula. It's super creamy. I put it on a brush so that I'm a little bit more precise with it, and it's waterproof, so it doesn't go anywhere. I like literally cry and it's still there at the end of the day. I've got some lip favorites. I'm pretty sure you can guess what they are. First one is the Rhode Peptide Lip Shape in the color Lunge. Sorry, I just launched the cap. Not too different from the color of my lips, I feel like, so it doesn't feel too unnatural to me. That's a big thing with lip products. I feel really uncomfortable when it's like a super non-natural color on me. I just get super insecure about it, so this has been really good. And then depending on what the events of the day are, I alternate between the Rhode Peptide Lip Tint in PBJ, which is this really deep color. I have it on my lips right now actually, but I've had it on for like a little over an hour or two. Prada Glowing Lip Color in Light. It has like my lip liner on it, but it's just a white lip balm kind of, and then I just use it to blend in basically the lip liner. For skincare, I only have a couple of favorites. The first one being this Kiehl's Ultra Facial Cream, like a no frills kind of moisturizer. I am pretty particular with the texture of my moisturizer. I don't want it to feel too heavy because my skin is pretty oily, but then I feel like the gel ones don't really lock in all of my skincare, and so this one is a really nice lightweight cream. I don't know if you can tell anything from what the inside of the jar looks like. I actually had two sprays that made it into my favorites. The first one is the Tower 28 Daily Rescue Spray. Just a lifesaver. I wish I had this like on my trip because I feel like I would have loved to spray it like on the plane so my skin didn't break out. I just spray it and all of my breakouts go away. I don't know what that science is, but it's a lifesaver. I use this in place of toner when my skin is breaking out really bad, but I don't use it every single day or every single night. Another thing that I really love that I actually don't have on me, the Rhode Glazing Mist. I was a bit skeptical at first, but I really love the way that it made my skin look in the mornings and underneath makeup. It made my makeup blend really well, and I would repurchase it again, but I'm trying to use up my skincare products that I receive in gifting. For body care scents, I really loved the Youth to the People Body Care Body Cleanser, their scrub, and their body butter. really nice smelling and really luxurious feeling. I loved the feeling of the body butter on my skin. Not too greasy feeling, but very nourishing. For my hands, I used the Aesop Can Balm a lot. I love the smell of it. It kind of smells like, I feel like I've said this before, a chic version of Tiger Balm, and it's just really nourishing. My hands get really dry in the winter and the fall, and sometimes in the summer, honestly. Like, my skin gets really dry around my nails, so this is always good to keep in my bag. I have 3 scent favorites. The first one being the Salt and Stone Bergamot and Hinoki body spray. When I was going to school, I would smell like this. Day-to-day errands, I would smell like this. Another daytime scent that I've been loving more recently is the Danam Pomelo Oolong from their China collection. This is just a really nice tea smell. I think I spoke about it in my Q4 favorites, but it's like the daytime version of my other favorite, which is Le Labo Noir 29. These two are just really good tea light smells. Well, this one's not very light, it's more of a deep smell, but I think they complement each other really well. They're right up my alley. For hair, I feel like this was the year of the slick back because I cut my hair into a bob at the end of 2024 and then started to grow into that weird phase. I just wanted to slick it back all the time, so what I really gravitated towards was the Crown Affair finishing gel. I was using a hair wax stick from Matamage that I really liked, but actually more recently I found that it was really hard to wash out. Like, I would shampoo my hair 2 to 3 times and I would still feel like that residue of it depending on how much I put in. This is really nice because you can kind of just shake it out and it's gone. Like, it's a very natural, I guess, hair gel. It smells really good and it's really easy to work with. I think I'm like a beginner in hair and makeup and literally everything beauty, but this was really easy for me to use. The last beauty favorite I have is the Mane hairstyling brush. I got this at the end of 2024, like literally the last month. Used it a ton this year. I don't know if you can see that, but it is slanting this way. I don't know what it is. Maybe I use too much force with my hair products, but my boar bristle brush is also slanted this way. I actually more recently learned how to use this properly and give myself a really nice blowout without having to use the rollers. Today I did use the rollers, but I also use this tool to heat up my hair before I put it in. I think that is a lot better than using a straightener for me, just because it doesn't make my hair too flat. I had a really good year for food and drink. Obviously my thesis was centered around Chinese restaurants, and so I was eating quite a bit. I also went to Hong Kong and ate a lot of food there. You can watch my vlogs if you want. Overall, that was just like a favorite of mine. For drinks, obviously I really loved tea. Like, that was just it's like a fixation, an addiction to me. And clearly I loved my matchas. I would say that I tried a lot of matchas this year, especially because I went to Japan. I do have a couple favorites that stood out to me. It's a lot because I tried a lot, but I would say the Emery matcha I really loved. The Dew matcha was just a good staple, and those two are Canadian, so I really loved supporting them. A third one was from Japan, Horishichi Mayan. I will put the specific one that I used on the screen because I can't really remember, but it was a really nice tasting matcha. And then the fourth favorite was Nami. Nami really stood out to me because it was super creamy and very nice tasting, but the only thing is that it's super expensive to get in Canada. I also really got into making syrups for my matcha, and this just like really elevated the game for me. I feel like I specifically gravitated towards like a jasmine syrup, black sesame syrup, and ginger syrup, and I feel like those just really took my matcha game to the next level, and I really loved making my matcha every single morning. It was something that I like looked forward to every single day. For entertainment this year, I watched Smallville and Severance, and those really stuck out to me. I would also say that When Life Gives You Tangerines was another show that stuck out to me, even though I just finished it like literally last week. So I would say those are my top 3 favorite shows of the year. Something really fun like Smallville, something really like sweet like When Life Gives You Tangerines, and something that really makes you think like Severance. And those are my 3. I wouldn't say that any movies really stuck out to me. Maybe Superman stuck out to me because obviously I watched Smallville after, so it influenced me enough to do that. And for music, I really loved Olivia Dean's The Art of Loving, of course. I got really into Raven Lenae this year. I feel like a lot of people did this year because her song Love Me Not was really popular in the summer. Also, Ariana Grande's extended album did not reach my reading goal. We don't have to talk about it. We've already mentioned it a bunch of times, too many times for me to be comfortable with. I did have 2 book favorites. The first one being Monstrilio. This is a more recent favorite. This is by Gerardo Samano Cordova. It was just a really good read. I love books about grief for some reason. That is just the theme that I seem to gravitate to the most, but I actually picked this up because I love the cover of it and ended up really liking the book. This is my top recommendation of the year. I said this in my Q4 favorites, but the cover says that it's a modern Frankenstein, and I feel like that's the perfect way to describe it. I also really loved Intermezzo, although right now, having read it like at the beginning of the year, I don't really remember my notes on it, but I just remember I really liked it, and I feel like I really liked it because it was about sibling dynamics, which is another thing that I really like as an eldest daughter. I think it was really nice and really interesting to read from both perspectives, and I also really love Sally Rooney's writing. So in my random favorites, I tried a lot of new things. I lean into a lot of old things, and so there were a lot of random favorites for me. I think my most proud moment and my biggest favorite would be my Cantonese lessons. It's taught me a lot about myself. It's been really nice to like know what my grandma's talking about. I feel like it's like using a different part of my brain. It's been really interesting to see what I can pick up on like when I go out, especially because where I live demographically, it's so Cantonese that like things that used to just like go in one ear and out the other are like sticking in my head a little bit more, which is a really interesting experience. Two other things that I got really into this year were baking and drawing. And I think baking, I was making a lot of bread this year, and I actually am just waiting for some cinnamon rolls to rise for a potluck. I think I said this before, but having started my master's, I just realized how much more time I had and for hobbies that I really enjoyed. I also realized that I could like incorporate my hobbies into my studies, which allowed me to get into drawing a little bit more recently. Before this, I really hadn't drawn since starting undergrad because I was drawing like boring drawings, but I made it a part of my thesis to get into like field drawing and drawing on site and stuff, and so that was a really fun exercise, and I feel like I learned a lot in that aspect too. On that note, one of my more physical favorites was the Leuchtturm 120. This is my sketchbook for my thesis. I brought this with me to Hong Kong. I've like sketched at almost every mostly Chinese restaurant that I've visited since then, and I just really like it. The paper is really nice. It takes to pencil crayons really well, which I appreciate. I will definitely continue to use this and like document all of my like lunches and dinners in it because it was just really fun. It's like a nice souvenir that I have from my trip of like where I went, what I ate, how I felt, what the layout of a bunch of restaurants was. I have two more stationery favorites that really helped me get through the last bit of my master's and will probably get me through the rest of my life. This is the Hobonichi Weeks. This is my new one for 2026, but I started using it in 2025. The size of this is really good to throw in my bag. I never was able to throw my agendas in my bag. Really lightweight. I love the fabric covers, and the paper is really nice. Right now I'm trying to cross stitch my initial on the back, but I have been really busy. So this is all that I have for now. And then I actually have a pen favorite. This is the Uniball 1 in 0.38 millimeters. It's a really thin pen. I think like a gel. I don't think it's like a ballpoint. The quality of the ink is really good, flows really nicely, and it dries super fast, which is really good. My final like school stationery related favorite is Notion. I have used Notion for the past 3 or 4 years I think now, but this year it really encompassed my entire life. I feel like usually I use it for just work and school, but I've been using it for work, school, content creation, trip planning, itinerary planning, budget planning. I feel like I really like maxed out the ways that I can use Notion. It has just become this like center for my life, and it's been really nice to have everything in one place to really customize it in the way that I like and the way that works for me. I have two home favorites, both of which are packed away because we're waiting to move later in the new year, so they're in a locker. But the first one is incense and just home smells in general. Jason and I really loved to make our home smell as nice as possible, and also we cooked a lot, so we used like the incense and the candles to kind of expel those smells. I will leave some of the incense sticks that I like the most on the screen so that you can see them. And then the last house favorite that I had were the Snow Peak floor pads. As a floor sitter myself, I'm literally sitting on the floor right now. I never realized how much of a difference it makes to put something underneath you when you're sitting on the floor. The floor pads were really good at just keeping me warm on the floor and also just keeping me comfortable. I could sit for much longer, and they're also just like really cute. They come in really cute colors. They look really cute with the rest of our house decor. My last favorite is a tech favorite, and I'm sure you can guess what it is. It is the DJI Osmo. I guess this is like 6 or 7 months of using it now. I would say that I really love this camera, and I'm really happy that I invested in it. It has elevated the quality of my videos for both YouTube and also TikTok and Instagram tremendously. I love the quality of the mic, especially. I've been using the mic literally in almost every video. It's much more discreet than using the G7X. Felt a lot more comfortable to vlog in Hong Kong with this, and I also am starting to feel a little bit more comfortable using this to vlog in Toronto as well, so I think that's a good sign. The magnetic attachment that I bought for this as well has really helped, has come in handy so many times. I think I can confidently say I would recommend this to literally anybody that is making videos and wanting to invest in higher quality. This shoots in I think 2.4 or 3K in vertical and then 4K in horizontal. I don't use the 4K in horizontal just because it takes up more storage. I use the 2.4K in both vertical and horizontal. So if you're curious about what it looks like, you can look at literally any of my vlogs or just on my TikTok. Those are all of my 2025 favorites. I've been sitting here for literally an hour and a half or 2 hours. Again, cannot believe that we're going to 2026. Really mind-boggling to me no matter how many times I say it. I'm really excited to see what it has in store for me and for us. I think that there are just better and bigger things to come for the new year. Yeah, thank you so much for supporting my videos this year. I only started like really consistently posting this year and it's been really fun. It feels much more personal to like be talking about all these things in depth and even talking about my outfits in depth and showing you parts of my life that I don't really show on Instagram or TikTok. And so yeah, I would love to hear what your 2025 favorites were, or if you have any requests for videos in 2026. Now that I'm out of school, I'm trying to find like different video ideas to sort of diversify my channel a little bit. I will see you guys next year. Bye.